So this is a quick video of how to remove the blades out of the 3, 4, and 5-inch chippers. First thing you want to do for safety is go ahead and remove the spark plug wire. And I'm a little OCD, so I like to just go ahead and put the fuel to off right there to make sure there's no possible way it'll turn on. Next thing you want to do, there's the side guards here. You're going to go ahead and take off the easier one to get at, and it just gives you more clearance to remove the blade. So this is a 10 millimeter. And for this, it's probably a little bit easier to use a socket for it instead of this this type of wrench. So now what happens is this thing's loose. Go ahead and pull it out of the way. And next thing you're going to want to do is remove these 4 blade bolts there. And to make it easier to remove, you want to go ahead and put something to stop the drum from spinning. And I like to use just a piece of scrap wood. So let me go ahead and lift it up a little bit there. Let's see. Maybe it's a little easier if I just bring it around to the other blade, since we got to do that one too. There you go. Go ahead and give the pull start a little pull just to make sure it's there tight. And then from there, you could use the included 13 millimeter T-bar wrench. Make sure it sits square onto the bolt head. And what you're going to do is go ahead and give it a twist to the left. And what I like to do is make sure that one of my hands is in a down position, because I don't want the drum going up. So go ahead and give that one a turn. Well, I think it loosened it. Yep. So initially, there is some glue on there, some Loctite. That's just to prevent the blade bolts from coming out. So that's why you'll have to break it free with that initial force. There it is. Okay, so those are already loose. Another way to do it is using a 13 millimeter wrench and a ratchet with an extension in there. Once again, I'd like to make sure that the blade is tight to the wood that's holding the drum from moving. And I am going to push down in the down position. So make sure it's square. And the whole time my right hand is keeping my socket square onto the bolt, just to prevent any sort of stripping. Here's the last one. There you go. Came off nice and clean. So at this point, before removing the bolts all the way, I like to go ahead and put a rag in there. And what this does, it prevents any of the bolts from falling into the drum housing. So I just get any sort of rag. You could also use paper towel. Move the drum up a little bit. Put the rag in there. And I'm going to go ahead and lower it onto it. There you go. And from there, let's go ahead and remove all these bolts. These are already loose, I should be able to pull it right out. Not yet. There's 1, 2, 3. And make sure when you pull out this last one that the rag's still in there all the way. You don't want it coming, going into the drum area. There's 3. And I pull it from this side a little bit. So what I could do is, since it is a little, you gotta finagle it a little bit, I'll go ahead and use just a screwdriver to go ahead and pry it out. Now I got a good grip on it. Let's go ahead and take out the whole thing. Okay, so now once it's out, you can see more of the drum. You just want to make sure that the whole thing's clear. Make sure this whole area right here, make sure it's all clean of debris. If you have like an air compressor, that'd be good to just go ahead and blow everything out. This one's looking pretty good, so what I'm going to go ahead and do is get the new blade ready to go and get those bolts. Okay, now we're ready to put in the new blade. First we want to do is take a look at the orientation of the blade. As you can see, there is an angle on the actual sharp edge on both sides. You want to make sure that it is facing, the angle's going downward. As you can see, when you do it this way, it starts going upward. But these were designed to cut with this edge right here coming down. So the first thing when installing into the drum, you want to go ahead and put a rag again just to prevent anything from falling in there. Go ahead and position the blade. And then you're going to want to go ahead and use some Loctite, just some extra precaution just to make sure that these bolts don't ever come out. And all you need to do, the way I do it, is just do a quick stripe. There you go. And then you're going to go ahead and position it. Let's go ahead and get one in just so it's holding there. Okay, so I thread that in by hand. Now you want to do that to the next three. Quick stripe. There you go. Alright, and the last one. The Loctite, make sure you do use blue Loctite. So this is the temporary style. Do not use the red Loctite, as you will probably never be able to get them off again. So just make sure it's the blue Loctite. Okay, so now that they're all positioned in there, I'm going to go ahead and give the pull start just a little pull because I want it to get in a better position so I don't slip off those bolts. So now that it's directed towards me a little bit better, I'm going to go ahead and position the T-bar wrench. Go ahead and twist them tight. I like to alternate just to make sure that it gets tightened evenly. Okay, so now that they're all a little bit tight, now I'm going to go ahead and torque them down. So now this should be set at around 50 foot-pounds. That's one thing you want to prevent. Make sure that you're on the bolt head straight onto it, just so it doesn't slip. Okay, so another way to do it too, just to make sure they're tight, you can also use a deep socket here with extensions, just to make sure everything's tight. This will probably give you a little bit more grip. Okay, so make sure it's snug onto the bolt. There you go. And I'm just going to go ahead and double check every bolt just to make sure that they're tight. Okay, so from there, you can go ahead and lift the drum up, take out the rag, and what you want to do, once you have both of them installed, you want to double check the clearance on this bar blade. So what you're going to do is go ahead and give it a small pull on the pull start just to see if it clears that. Now this gap looks like it's a little bit too tight because that should be about 1 to 3 millimeters, which is about the size of a credit card. So the way to adjust that is you want to loosen these 13 millimeter bolts on the bottom, and then from there you'll be able to move this back and then forward. And so you just put the credit card in there, make sure that's about 1 to 3 millimeters, then go ahead and tighten it down, and then that bar anvil will be adjusted.